banning the shift. Again, this has been discussed for the last several years. Finally, it's reached that boiling point, that tipping point. But come on, they were shifting on Ted Williams back in the day. This is nothing new. I feel like baseball fans feel like it is, but it's definitely not. And there may be a difference between shading and shifting. You see that down here in my notes. So maybe they used to shade him, and now, everybody's literally getting shifted. It's not just the Ted Williams of the game. But number one here, above anything else, is this actually going to improve the game, and how? By banning the shift, you're basically saying, all right, the hitters lost that battle because we gave them in the entire left field. They couldn't do anything with it. They couldn't even lay down a bunt, or they didn't want to a majority of the time. That type of stuff would have beat the shift. You don't have to ban the shift if hitters could have consistently beat the shift. They didn't do it. So here now Major League Baseball is saying and considering, and the players might be in for this too, that you can't do it. But I don't understand why. I also don't understand how we're exactly going to enforce this. We're going to draw lines out there on the field, like say, all right, this is where a left fielder can play. This is where a second baseman can play. This is where a shortstop can play. This is where a third baseman can play. And nope, if you put one cleat outside of that line, you are shifting. That's illegal. And then how do we enforce that? How do we stop it? Do the umpires stop play? Do they have to check every position player, every play, every pitch, I should say? How do we define these positions on the field? What's the rule there? Obviously, every Major League Baseball diamond is different, not the infield, but more the outfield. The fence dimensions at Fenway Park. I mean, how do we do this? And that's the whole thing, infield versus outfield. Are we only banning the shift in the infield? Are we banning it in the outfield too? Can you not shade now? Do you have to play straight up every single time? So what defines this? How do you even begin? This seems so overly complicated. And then let me ask you the question. How do you enforce it every single pitch? Because if somebody is technically shifting and the pitch happens and the play happens and that, let's say shortstop got to a ball in the hole that otherwise they normally wouldn't have, whatever the situation is, you can't go back and challenge it and say, well, I think he was out of position. Let's go back and look. You have to enforce it before the pitch is even made. So if you want to speed the game up, this does definitely not feel like something that's going to make baseball go faster. So these are my questions. Does it improve the game? How do we define the positions? How do we enforce this? What's the difference between shading, like take a couple steps to your left or your right, and or shifting? And how do we do this between the infield and the outfield?